Hello, Red Wave. Welcome to Beware of Bulldogs podcast. My name is Caleb Nale. Joining me, host of Beware of Bulldogs, my friend Caleb Pletz. Mr. Pletz, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I am doing great. It's still beautiful weather here in Fresno, and it's heating back up, which is strange. We're still warm in October, but I'm not complaining.
No, I'm very happy it's heating back up. We're going to be able to dry out the raisins and the almonds that were still on the ground. So I'm excited about the heat. But today, for you guys, we have a packed show. We got Wyoming preview. So we're going to talk about Wyoming and what we've seen in the past. We're going to talk about our keys to the game and how we think the Dogs can take advantage of them. Of course, we have are going to make you sweat. Everybody dance now. And then Caleb's going to talk about weather in Laramie because I am interested in what exactly the team can expect there. And if you are traveling there, what you can expect. And then we'll get to our final score predictions. But first, you can find us on X at beware_Bulldogs and on Instagram at Beware of Bulldogs podcast. We're also on YouTube, Beware of Bulldogs, and we are live on YouTube and X at 7 p.m. every Sunday during football season. The chat, if you don't know this, the chat in Twitter is only allowed for verified users. That's not my rule. That's not our rule. That's Elon's rule. So if you are a verified user, you could chat in Twitter. This is what we found out. If not, head over to YouTube and you can chat as much as you want. We've been having a good time with everybody. So that's on Sundays, 7 p.m. We're recapping the games over there. And sometimes it gets lively. It's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. Our YouTube chat is awesome. So definitely if you are able to catch us live on Sunday nights, head over to YouTube because it's a lot of fun.
And if you're listening on podcast form, thank you. We really appreciate it. I know most people can't make it on a Sunday night. And so you listen the next day at work. Shout out to my brother I know we're in his back pocket during work, Caleb. So he listens to us later on. So shout out to all you guys that listen in podcast form later. This is podcast form. Caleb, you and I are going to have a conversation about Wyoming. So let's talk about this Wyoming team first and what we know about them. They are currently 4-1. They are not ranked. By the way, your Dogs ranked number 24 in the AP poll. Whatever that means to you. I know to most people, including myself, media polls and things like that don't mean much right now. But it's besides the point. We're talking Wyoming. 4-1. They have wins over Texas Tech, Portland State University, Appalachian State, and University of Mexico. They also have a 31-10 loss to Texas. However, they were tied 10-10 going into the fourth quarter with Texas. I have been impressed with this Wyoming team as of late. I'll say this. Maybe not as of late as in New Mexico, but in their comeback over App State and in their loss to Texas, I was actually impressed. But Caleb, what have you seen from this Wyoming team that has stood out? Players, play style, things like that. What are you looking at when it comes to this Wyoming team?
Yeah, in terms of their previous games, I mean, the game that I watched the most of was the Texas Tech game in week 1. So obviously, I think their team has changed a bit since that first week where their running back, Whaley, has kind of stepped on the scene since then. But in that first game, I mean, their quarterback, Peasley, I mean, he's a gamer. He's a tough guy, and he willed them to that victory against Texas Tech. So, they're a team that's going to fight hard. I mean, they're a hard-nosed team. They're, well coached. I mean, I think their coach Bull is, pretty well respected, within the college football world. So, it's going to be a very tough matchup, and they're going to play hard. I think they play better at home. I mean, I think that's part of what helped them against Texas Tech and knocking them off. So yeah, overall, it's going to be a tough matchup. You could argue maybe the toughest matchup the Dogs have faced so far this season.
I totally agree. I think this is our toughest matchup yet, and I think we're going to know more about Fresno State football than we have all season after this game. I watched that Texas Tech game as well. I was impressed with Peasley. Then Whaley, their running back, it has come onto the scene, like you said, and is an absolute stud. And from what I noticed against Texas and against App State, I'm going to be honest, I did not catch the New Mexico game, but I looked at the score. They beat New Mexico 35-26, and New Mexico has not been impressive. We all know this. But I did watch their Texas and App State game. Against Texas and App State and Texas Tech, they run the ball well between the tackles. And Whaley hits the hole, and he's broken a lot of runs over 30 yards. I think that's going to be an area of concern for the Dogs, is stopping the run between the tackles. They do run a lot of, zone read with the running back, with the quarterback and running back. I don't know if it's a run pass option or more just reading the end and pulling it if he needs to. But yes, Peasley, he's a stud. Their second string quarterback, who got to play most of the game against Texas because Peasley was injured, is also massive. Both of their quarterbacks, I am going to say this, and I don't mean this in a certain way, but they remind me of Josh Allen. They're not Josh Allen, but they remind me of Josh Allen. They're huge. So there is going to be a challenge of tackling them if they decide to run the ball, keep it. Defensively, what I saw against Texas, I was paying attention against Texas. They zone Texas. Now, that's a smart thing to do because not many players in the country can play one-on-one with Xavier Worthy. That's just how it's going to be. But they did play a lot of zone. And I don't know how you could judge it, but Texas made Wyoming defense look slow later on in the game. They wore them down. So I have a couple things I'm going to say later on about when we get to our keys to the game right after this about how we can take advantage and what I think they should do. But I am expecting zone defense from Wyoming. I expect zone defense from a lot of teams because our skill players, typically wide receivers, are quick and good route runners. They can get open. So and our O-line doesn't do the greatest job picking up pressure. I would say communicating. So if they can disguise blitzes and pull some zone blitzes, or disguise one way and then blitz the other on one side, blitz the other side, I think we can expect that from Wyoming as well. So there's a lot of things that we're going to see from this Wyoming team that I would say we saw in our first two games against Purdue and Eastern Washington that we haven't seen recently. But this team is better than any team that we played at doing those things. So it's going to be very interesting. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Definitely. Yeah. In terms of the Wyoming defense, I mean, they got a couple of studs, to point out. They have, the preseason Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year in Easton Gibbs at linebacker. And I mean, he's just a guy that's gobbling up tackles all over the field. And, expect him to, be a force in terms of, going up against Fresno State run game. So definitely a weapon there. And then in the defensive backfield, I mean, they have a DB, Rook Brown, with 3 interceptions on the year already. So he's up there competing with Carlton Johnson for, interception leading for the conference here. So, they have a good, well-coached defense. And, speaking of coaching staff, and that's kind of a trend that we've mentioned earlier in this, Fresno State season, the Bulldogs have gone up against a lot of inexperienced coaching staffs, and that's, definitely not the case this week. I mean, Coach Bull, he's, very experienced. I think he's in his 9th year at Wyoming in particular. And so he's definitely built a hard-nosed culture and, a very strong defense there. So I think the Dogs can expect, the challenge for sure in terms of, figuring out, how to handle the pressure, because I know that they're going to bring pressure, because that has kind of been, one of the weaknesses of Fresno State offense. But I mean, I'm curious, you mentioned the, seeing a lot of zone from the Wyoming defense, and
that was against Texas, by the way.
Okay.
Yep.
So, but I mean, if that is something that, Wyoming's showing early, I mean, is, Pat McCann going to be content with just, hitting the short crossers and just finding the open guy over the middle? Because it seems like, it kind of goes in waves here where, we'll go, short pass and just kind of dink and dunk it down the field. And then, something will happen and we'll try to, just focus on run or something and just kind of lose the rhythm. So I'm interested to see how, Coach McCann kind of bounces back play calling wise this week and see how, how that looks. Because, what we saw against Kent State was, really good execution. We were very complimentary of, McCann's play calling. And then, it seemed like a little bit of a step back. So either that was credit to Nevada defense or, something else. But just another thing to keep an eye on.
Yeah, I think Pat McCann and Mikey Keene are going to have to be patient this game. It's going to be part of my key game. We'll get there. But Wyoming forces you to make a play. You are not going to beat them over the top that easy, or run up the gut that easy. They're going to make you miss, break some tackles, call a good play. And I think what can happen is with a young quarterback or a new OC is you kind of get fed up with 3-4 yard plays. You're running into 3rd and 3, 3rd and 2s a lot, and you want to take half the field out in one play. That can't happen this game because the defense is so disciplined. We have to stay patient. There is no team on this schedule that can match up with us. They can't match up with our offense, with all our weapons. They can't do it. So we have to stay patient. We will be successful if we stay patient and limit our turnovers or just mistakes in general. So have to stay patient. I will expand on that when we get to, like our Everybody Dance Now and things like that. But yeah, I am a firm believer this game that instead of running the ball up the gut to establish the pass, we need to find the zones, the soft zones, because they played 5-10 yards off wide receivers against Texas and sometimes against App State and hit them. And so I am counting, it's not going to count as a run, but in my world, if we run a bubble screen or we throw a pass at the line of scrimmage or 2 yards beyond the line of scrimmage on a quick slant because they're playing 10 yards off, that's just as good as a run in my book. It's actually better because we have been struggling with the run. So, I talked about last week when we run trips formations, bunch formations, heavy to one side, and we put 3 wide receivers, even 2 sometimes, and Trey Watson is lined up over there. If they're playing soft defense on them, we must hit them because that's an easy 2 to 3 yards. And against this Wyoming team, you need to take those yards. And my other thought is we struggle running the ball, and it's going to be, I don't think you're going to beat Wyoming running it between the tackles. It's going to be too hard. Either we're going to have to, I hate to say this, Caleb, we might have to run some sweeps, some jet sweeps to the wide receiver, or disguise it with some motion, fake jet sweep, pitch to the outside, something like that. We got to get our guys in space where they can make plays, get the ball to our playmakers. If that's at the line of scrimmage with the guy 10 yards off of him, 5 yards off of him, do it. If that's motioning guys, getting Sherrod out in space, do it. That's how we're going to beat Wyoming. You're not going to beat this team between the tackles. You're not. It's going to be really hard to if you try that. Anyways, that's my long form argument for Dogs, and kind of this key to the game is attack that area.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that it's going to take some creativity, and the Fresno State offensive line just hasn't shown their ability to muscle up against the defensive line and get a solid push. In fact, they're the ones getting pushed around a little bit. I mean, you see that giving up a safety against Nevada last week, and not being able to get a couple yards. So yeah, I think you're right. They're gonna have to get creative, get the ball to the playmakers in space, and let them make a move on the Wyoming defenders in space.
Yep. And speaking of a tough, hard-nosed defense, if you need somebody to take care of your property or manage your property, call our friends at Manage X. Caleb, what can Manage X do for them?
Yeah, they're full service property management company. So they service single family homes, small apartment complexes, office and industrial properties. So if you're a property owner in the Fresno or Clovis area and you need help taking care of your property and dealing with your tenants and whatnot, get in contact with ManageX. Go to their website, managex.net. They're a big supporter of Beware Bulldogs and Fresno State Athletics too.
All right, Caleb, I want to talk about our defense, because we talked about Whaley, which is his, I believe is his last name, the running back, who has just torched teams between the tackles. And we have to give credit to their line. They open up massive holes against good defenses like Texas. And I want to know what you think about our defense going up against this tough, physical, run-first Wyoming offense.
I think we got to start by asking a couple questions. I mean, personnel-wise, who's going to be on the field for Fresno State? Last week against Nevada, there were a couple surprise scratches from the game with, Dean Clark shooting up and not playing, and Cameron Lockridge, being out with supposed undisclosed injury. So, yeah, I mean, I'll put the question back to you. I mean, do you think those guys are suiting up on Friday or on Saturday? I mean, obviously we don't have firsthand knowledge, so this is kind of speculation here. Does it even make a difference if those guys are on the field? Because we did see a really strong performance from, our defense last week.
Right. And by the way, we are recording this earlier in the week, and we have not spoken with our get to know guest yet. We are speaking with them Thursday night. So we will know more later on. Hopefully we can get that out there with the get to know. Personnel wise, I believe they suit up. Dean Clark should be ready to go. I think Cam will be ready to go. And, that dude knows how to hit people. So I would like to see Cam out there. I do trust Azilian Hamilton. He played well last game. This game, I'm really interested in as well as the linebacker core, because they're going to have to be very physical up front. We're going to have to stack the box. And who is playing? Malachi is, I would say, bigger body. Is he in there to stuff the run? Ray Scott is really tough and physical, and he can lay the wood too. Is he in there? Obviously Lavelle's going to be in there, but how are we playing that? And then, if we're going to stack the box, is Maurice Norris in the game, or are we running three linebackers? Is Malachi, Scott, Lavelle, anybody else? Like, personnel wise, how are we going to line up against this Wyoming team? And in my opinion, I would love to see us stack the box 7, 8 guys. Let's sell out against the run, because I don't think the Wyoming skill guys can beat our guys one-on-one. So if we put Carlton and whoever it is, Azilian or Cam, in one-on-one, and you have a safety over the top, I think we're going to be okay. Honestly, Peasley had a couple guys open in, I forget which game it was that I watched, but he missed a couple long balls. Not the most accurate quarterback. Neither is their backup. So force them to beat you over the top. So what do you think about that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I pretty much have the same, thought train here, that if you're looking at, Wyoming's passing production, they only have 2 receivers that have more than 100 yards on the season, Asante and Wyatt. So I know that Asante has been, kind of more of a big play guy. I mean, only 7 receptions for 187, but 3 touchdowns. So that's a pretty efficient clip there to be converting catches into touchdowns. So,
right.
We've said for most of the season that, we feel really good about, the corners on this team. And I think that, like you said, Johnson for sure is going to be able to lock down whoever he's on. And, between Hamilton and Lockridge, those guys are going to do enough as well. So, yeah, I agree. It is going to come down to whether, Dean Clark is, suited up and, maybe cheating down in the box and helping with, run defense. Because, obviously that's, Wyoming's bread and butter there. So, I agree. I don't really have much to add based on what you said because, yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. It's going to take Maurice and probably Dean to really be in there and help with, run defense.
And another interesting aspect of this is if Dean is in, who's the other safety? Is it Braca? I would choose Braca. I would think it would be Braca after that last game. And the hits that he had beyond the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage, were key. And against this Wyoming team, you're going to need that. So is it Braca? Is it Comstock? It's going to be very interesting personnel-wise to see who's in there to stop this Wyoming run game, because that's what Wyoming wants to do. I would be shocked if Wyoming comes out throwing the ball. Last thing on Wyoming and our defense is that we can't get lulled to sleep. Now, I talk about being patient on offense. Defensively, we can't get lulled to sleep, because what Wyoming will do is they will run, or they'll go, read option. Then they'll run a play action and hit you for 20, 25 yards to their tight end, or who knows, their guy breaks free and he's wide open and he hits him. That we cannot have. So the last thing we need is for our defense to get lulled to sleep. This is going to be a football game where everyone is going to have to be on the same page all game, especially the O-line, who we haven't talked about as much, but everyone's going to need to be in communication, and no one can fall asleep in this game. And offense, please stay patient. This will be the game where we will put together a 12, 15 play drive that takes a couple minutes, and that's going to be fine. I would rather win this game we beat them 30-0 last time. By the way, Wyoming hasn't proven they can score on us in a couple years. So
that's right.
And they have had mobile quarterbacks and Chambers and things like that in the past. However, this O-line the Wyoming O-line is better than in the past. So it's going to be interesting. And I'm really excited, but also I'm the most nervous I've been before any game.
Yeah, this is kind of, like we said, it's the biggest test thus far for this Fresno State team. And, going on the road, it's really going to show whether this team is worthy of a top 25 ranking or, if they're going to fall back in the pack with the conference.
Yeah. All right. We're going to get to our Gonna Make You Sweat and Everybody Dance now. But first, to get you in the mood for dancing, you usually need wine, and the wine you're going to need is Givoli wine. Givoli Winery, big sponsor of Beware of Bulldogs and big fan of Fresno State athletics. Fresno State Winery is located on Biola Avenue. Biola Avenue is right next to the town of Biola. You'll blink, you'll miss it. It's a great place. It's on Biola, just north of Shaw. They're open Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 5. All the wine is local. The grapes are local, and the people are local. It's a great time. Their motto is love, joy, and quality. So you're going to show up. You're going to feel love, and they hope you love the wine. You're going to feel the joy there. It's a fun, happy place, and good quality wine, good quality people, and pizza. Brick Oven Pizza is there Saturdays and Sundays from noon to 5, and they are open on weekdays by appointment only. So check out Givoli Winery. All right, Caleb, let's get to
Everybody Dance Now.
Everybody Dance Now. Caleb, if some people didn't see it, I just want everyone to know that they can go on our YouTube page and go under shorts, and they will be able to find you dancing after the Kent State game when we scored 7. Well, we scored more than 7 touchdowns, but you said, I will dance if we score 7 touchdowns. And boy, did we, in a row. So you could check that out on YouTube. Caleb, the great dance moves.
Thank you.
But what is going to make you dance this week?
All right. So you alluded to it earlier. Fresno State is coming off of back-to-back shutouts over Wyoming. In 21, it was a tight, closer game. It was 17-0 shutout. I remember it was a weird game. I think Jake Hayner only had 100 passing yards, and just overall was kind of ugly. But the defense showed up and Wyoming could not do anything. And for some reason, I can't remember last year's game, but it was a 30-0 victory for Fresno State. So obviously Wyoming didn't do anything to make me remember them. So I'm going with if Fresno State shuts out Wyoming for a third year in a row, I will dance.
I like it. And I think it is a possibility because our defense is that good. We've already done it once this year. I'm adding back to the list because it didn't happen a kickoff return for a touchdown.
Okay.
I think if that happens, both you and I should dance. I shouldn't sign you up for that, but I feel like, since 2008, if it happens, most people, you know what? Why don't you all send in dance videos? If we take a kickoff all the way back, just send in your dance videos. We'll put them up there. And yeah, that's one way I will dance. The other is if Mikey Keene has no turnovers, so 0 turnover. Let's just go no turnovers for the entire team because Mikey Keene threw 2 interceptions against Nevada. This is a better defense. This Wyoming defense is better than Nevada. So if he's not turning over the ball, that means he's not forcing anything. He's taking what they give him, and that's what I want him to do. And also that means we're not muffing punts. And Eric Brooks dropped one, and he also fumbled after he caught one. We can't have that. Wyoming, I believe their efficiency rating on special teams is number 1 in the Mountain West. So they win the field position battle always. That scares me a little bit. We've only had to punt once, I believe, in the past 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
However, if we do, we need to flip the field. And when we're receiving, we can't turn the ball over, and I'd like to get a good run back. I did notice against the App State and Texas that they got good yards on their kickoff returns. This could be the game. We've talked about how Wyoming may be the best team we played against. I think this may be the best chance for a kickoff return after the film that I've watched. Very interesting. So no turnovers by our team. I'll just put it that way. Offense, special teams. And we need to force 2 turnovers. If we force 2 turnovers, we will win this game. So 0 turnovers on our end, and we need to force 2. If we do that, I will be dancing, but I'm going to throw in a little caveat there. If we do that and we don't win, I'm not going to dance. But I don't feel as though if we have 0 turnovers and we force 2, that there's no way we can't win that game.
Right. Yeah. There will be no sad dancing here. And I don't think we mentioned, the Fresno State football team is still on a 14-game win streak, which at this point I've almost kind of forgotten about because it's like, wow, yeah, we haven't lost in a long time. So hopefully, we're not getting too ahead of ourselves here. But what we do know is that the Jeff Tedford coach team is going to be locked in, and every week the goal is to go 1-0.
No, I was just thinking about this right now. You know what would be another good everybody dance now is no sacks. If we don't give up a sack, that I won't add that on because there's too much going on in my world for everybody dance now already. But I would love to see lots of clean pockets for Mikey Keene. Now, against Wyoming, I don't know if that's going to be the case because their D-line is able to get pressure without blitzing. I noticed that against App State. I'm not caught up on the state of Appalachian State's offensive line, but they were able to get pressure blitzing 4 D linemen. So it's going to be very interesting to see what our O-line does and what Wyoming does if they bring pressure or not. So O-line, let's play a good, solid game. Let's pass pro like our life depended on it. And, I'd love to get a push, at least a run block push, at least 2 yards. I won't a yard past the line of scrimmage because, man, it was tough against Nevada. It was honestly, I hate to say that, but it was hard. Our guys were getting hit at the line of scrimmage, sometimes behind in the end zone. So we got to get a push when we're run blocking. Anything to add about O-line?
I think you covered it. Yeah, the Dogs are going to have to make an adjustment, and if they don't, it's going to be really difficult for the offense to get anything going.
How about the story of the coaching staff? So just head coach, Bull and Tedford. These coaches are so good, tough, gritty. I think I read an article about Bull and what he does on his days off. Did you see this? I shouldn't say it because I don't know exactly if it's him, so I won't. But there was an article put out about Bull and what he does, and it's wild. For what, like, and just kind of the guy, like, yeah, that dude is for real, and he's legit and tough old man vibes. But the adjustments that will be made after halftime by both of these experienced coaches is going to be wild. The chess match that is going to be played in Laramie on Saturday should be so fun. I think anyone that is invested in these two teams can learn a lot about football just by watching these two teams play against each other and the coaches coach. So it's going to be a lot of fun. All right, let's get to weather, TV, and spread. But
whoa. We're sweating.
What did I miss? Oh, that's right. Well, I don't sweat. I never sweat, especially when I'm going to church on Sundays. It's hard for me to sweat. And I go to the Vine Church in Fresno on Shaw, just west of Grantland. If you're looking to strengthen your community, a support group, a place to have a good time and sing and worship the Lord, come on out to the Vine Church on Shaw, just west of Grantland. They are welcoming, kind. Potluck is this Sunday, by the way, so come on out for potluck. And a pastor who speaks biblical truth, Greg, great guy. If you're looking for all those things, come join us Sunday, 10 a.m. at the Vine Church. I will be there. And depends on how late this game's early. So, last game I kind of stayed up too late and I missed church, but don't tell anyone. But I should be there this Sunday. The Vine Church, a supporter of Bulldogs and big fan of Fresno State athletics. So thank you to the Vine Church in Fresno. All right.
As an expert on sweat and sweating, I may as well be a sweat scientist.
All right, the sweat scientists are here. What's going to make you sweat, Caleb, this Saturday? We've covered a lot.
We have.
Now,
yeah, you've kind of mentioned it already, but I will be sweating if Fresno State has poor punting and kicking. I think this is going to be an important field position battle, and we're going to need to see the good Carson King, this week show up, and being able to kick it 50 yards, with good punt coverage, and not let anything weird happen on special teams. So, and the same for kickoffs too. A little disappointed that I don't like we mentioned before. I don't know if it was the game plan to not try to kick it through the end zone, but let's just stop messing around. Just kick the ball through the end zone on the kickoffs and just give it to them on the 25. That's fine. The defense can handle it from there. Just don't let anything weird happen on special teams. So punting and kicking, if it's not going as planned or there's a shank or two, that's definitely going to make me sweat.
Oh, big time. Big time. It's those little things that can turn the tide in a game. I'm going to sweat if we can't stop the run. After watching these highlights, and remember, they are highlights, so it's the good plays. But I didn't see a whole lot of highlights of people stopping the run against Wyoming. So they have a very good O-line, good running back. They can move the ball on the ground. And if we can't stop the run, we did a great job against Purdue, by the way, because we were told all about Mockabee and Purdue and how they're going to be able to run the ball. They couldn't do anything against us on the ground. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job this entire season of stopping the run. So if we can stop the run, we're going to be in good shape. If we're not, I'm going to be sweating with the new rule change in college football. Tick, 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 tick. Not good. So let's stop the run, and I won't have to worry about sweating.
Yeah. And to kind of build on that, it seems like just limiting the explosive plays is probably going to be most important, because it seems like that's where Wyoming has done a lot of damage, like you mentioned, with their skill guys hitting some home run runs and touchdowns. So if Fresno State's able to do that, then they should be okay. But if Wyoming starts early and cracks a 50-yard run, that could be detrimental toward the Bulldogs and Wyoming getting some positive momentum rolling.
I want to ask you a question I haven't asked you before in our previews, and it's 2 questions. I'll start with the first one. Who do you think the key player offensively is for Fresno State this game?
Probably have to go with Keene, especially if we have another 2 interception performance this week. That's going to really put Fresno State in a tough position to win. So I think he's going to need to be more accurate and pretty much not make any ill-advised decisions. So I think I have to go with the QB1 here.
Yep, totally agree. He's going to have to be very good this game and patient. Just take what the defense gives you, Keene. We should be fine. Also, nobody can guard Trey Watson. I still haven't found anybody. So, I mean, this Gibbs guy from Wyoming, I know he's good. But from what I saw in from the highlights and the games I've watched, tight ends are open, and we have a good one. If we can get the ball to Trey Watson quick, let's do it in open space. But if they're giving us something else, please take it. Now, defensively, who's the key player defensively?
Really good question. I mean, it's got to be whoever's going to make the most tackles. So I think at this point, probably LaVale Bailey. I mean, he's been the most dependable, and I think I don't have the stats in front of me, but he's got to be up there in terms of, statistically, most tackles for the team. So linebackers are going to need to make big tackles in the run game, and I think LaVale Bailey's the guy to do it. I mean, he's usually in the right place, right time, and he doesn't really miss tackles. So he's going to be very important this week to take on a really good Wyoming run game.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it's LaVale Bailey. I think they're going to run right at him. Their guards or tackles, when they run at him, they're going to go hit him, make sure he doesn't come behind the ball or from a gap, and they're going to hit him, and so that they can open up holes. So if LaVale can shed some blocks and make some tackles, that will be huge, and he's definitely my key player for this game, for this defense. All right, men or women, a key to any relationship is making your loved ones feel, what should I say? Welcome, appreciated. And yeah, you can tell how good of a job I do. I'm not very good at that. I need to work on this. Flora Flower Co., they got you covered though. Flora Flower Co., local flower shop who supports local growers. And not only do they have flowers, they have gifts that are modern and unique. So they're your one-stop shop for gifts. So head over to Flora Flower Co. on Shepherd and Willow on Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That's Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Shepherd and Willow. They also have a florist in shop there that will help you create something special. If you're ordering online at Flora Flower Co., use code Fresno15. That's Fresno, the number 15, for 15% off. And that will let them know that we sent you. They also have subscriptions that you can sign up for that come with free delivery. So check out Flora Flower Co., supporter of Bulldogs and Fresno State Athletics, and use code Fresno15 at checkout for 15% off. I still can't think of the word that I was trying to get to, Kale. That's bad. All right, let's talk weather, TV, spread. What's the weather going to be like in Laramie on Saturday? Is it going to be cold?
I mean, all things considered, this is pretty much the best case scenario for Fresno State. The high for the day is 68, low is 33, but sunshine, no precipitation coming. There's always going to be some wind in Laramie, so kind of wind around 10 miles per hour. But kind of looking at low 60s to down to the 50s throughout the game, which all things considered, not that bad. Just because Wyoming at this time of year, I mean, they could be getting snow. I mean, It's a crazy place out there in the plains, and I don't. Is that the plains in Wyoming? I don't know.
I've never been. I don't know.
Me neither.
I'm not
But
going this.
all I know is that weird stuff can happen in Laramie, and knock on wood here, but it should be a pretty straightforward trip and weather experience for Fresno State, which is definitely welcome. So weather should be all right. In terms of game, we got an earlier kickoff this week for us, a 5 p.m. Pacific time kickoff, and the game's going to be broadcast nationally on Fox. So pretty big pickup for Fresno State. I think they got bumped up over TCU, Iowa State. So take that, baby. Big 12. We can put the Mountain West there in prime time. So should be a good broadcast there. Our friend Tim Brando will be on the call with Spencer Tillman as the analyst. So he was great when we talked to him last year when he broadcast the Mountain West Championship game, also on Fox last year. So good to get them back in the rotation for Fresno State matchup. And if you can't watch it on TV, definitely catch it on the radio, Bulldog Sports Network with Paul, Pat, and Cam. Obviously, they do an excellent job, and you'll get some really good analysis from those guys.
I reached out to Timmy B to see if he would come on again. He's too busy. He couldn't make it. So it was a bummer, but we understand. He's in the middle of the season. I totally get it.
Yep.
Okay. Before we get to the spread and our final predictions, Caleb, I want to talk about our last sponsor, and then we'll get to our final score predictions. Eastie's Wood Shop, new sponsor to the show, and we have stuff coming in from them. Can't wait. Eastie's Wood Shop, they do personalized gifts for whatever you like. I know they do games. I think it's Farkle, I believe is the name of the game. I was looking at it. I've never played it, but they have really cool stuff. They'll engrave on metal and glass and things like that. And we have some stuff that we got from them that we will show you soon. Very cool what they do at Eastie's Woodshop. It's eastys-woodshop.com. You could check everything they have out there. They will personalize gifts, games, whatever you want. Their products are great for, weddings, corporate thank yous, closing a home, holiday gifts, all of those things. And if you don't see something you like, just send them a message and they will build it for you. They're awesome over there. And when you order something online, use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. So that's Eastys-Woodshop. That's eastys-woodshop.com. Use code BEWARE for 15% off your first purchase. All right. The spread right now, Caleb, I don't know the last time you looked at it. I looked at it. It was, I checked, I believe it was like at 4 at one point. At 4.5, I believe I saw. Now it's at 6. Mm-hmm. I thought it would go down. But what do you think about this line at 6?
Yeah, kind of interesting. Yeah, it's kind of moving in the Fresno State's favor, and I did notice the point total, the over under, I think decreased too. Because right now it's sitting at 44, which is a pretty low scoring game. But when you factor in the last 2 times these two teams have met, one team scored 0 points, then I guess that'll get you a pretty low point total. But yeah, overall, it seems like Vegas is respecting Fresno State so far and their ability to win games, and obviously they think Dogs are going to win by about a touchdown. So I think that's where it should be. It'll be interesting if this is another low scoring game, because we've kind of been all over the place in terms of high scoring game, low scoring game. We've been pretty much way wrong on most of the stuff we've predicted this year, I think. But yeah, we'll see. I'm not expecting Fresno State to shut out Wyoming. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope I'm dancing. But I think that this Wyoming offense is better than offenses in the past, and it's going to be a challenge for Fresno State. So I have, obviously the Dogs winning this game. I have it at 27-23. So it's going to be a close game. Dogs pulling away by 4, but it's going to be close. There's going to be some field goals mixed in there. And it's going to come down to good kicking and field position. But Dogs coming away 27-23.
Okay. I like it. And I do not like the 6. I am staying away from that -6. Fresno State, 100%. I'm not going to do it. I would wait. When it was at 4.5, I'd take the Dogs at 4.5. But 6, forget about it. When it comes to my thought process on final score and picking the game, I totally agree with you that I think there's going to be quite a bit of field goal kicking in this game because both defenses are very good. But we have better skill players than they do. I think we have a more experienced quarterback who can, granted, it comes down to how the O-line plays. But if he takes what they give him, we should be open all the time. Because if they blitz, someone will be open. If they don't blitz, I believe that leaves a big game for Elijah Gilliam or Sherrod get them in space. So pick your poison, Wyoming. But I do believe it's going to be close because this Wyoming offense and this Wyoming O-line is pretty good. I have the final score, Dogs 26, Wyoming 21. So I guess no field goals for Wyoming unless they get there in a funny way. Somebody gets a safety again on us. But 26-21, 5-point difference. And I'm staying away from 6. I'll touch it again if it goes back down, but otherwise I'm staying away.
Yeah, I think we're kind of on the same thought process here with how we think the game's going to go, and it's going to be close. But Dogs should pull it out. But yeah, should be a great contest, and I'm looking forward to watching the Dogs on national broadcast.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here thinking, you said there's 10-mile-per-hour winds. It shouldn't affect kicking too much, especially down on the field. You would think. I don't know how their stadium is set up exactly. I know when you're like at Fresno in a bowl, it's hot, and even at the top of the stadium it's windy. At the bottom it's hot. But I'm curious to see if that affects our kicking game at all and which way the wind's blowing. This game is going to be a blast to watch. Let us know where you guys are watching it from, and because I know Caleb and I are thinking about what we're going to do for the game, where we're going to watch it from. By the way, while it's on my mind, October 27th is a Friday. That is the Friday before homecoming. We play UNLV the 28th, I believe. We will be at Crow and Wolf for an alumni association event. So we'll be there talking, and so come and say hi. That's October 27th from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Crow and Wolf Brewery. So we will see you guys there on October 27th, that Friday before homecoming. Anything else, Caleb, that we need to talk about for this game that we didn't touch on? We covered a lot.
I think we just about covered it. So, did you have anything else?
No, I'm excited for this game. I am praying that we come out on the good side of this, the right side of this, and we're dancing and having a good time Sunday during the live stream. So because the reason I say all that is because this is our toughest test. The Dogs will be tested, and we will know exactly what we have Saturday night after the game. I believe in this team. We can win this game, and I'm pumped, dude. I'm ready. Oh, this is the last thing I'm going to say. What do you think our uniform combo is?
Oh boy. Last time we were on the road was Arizona State. We wore white and blue. So hopefully that means we wear red. Red pants would be nice. So either all whites or maybe white with red pants. So I think probably not blue because that was the most recent.
All right, final prediction. Go 1, 2, top, shirt, pants.
I'm gonna go red, white shirt, red pants, the way it should be.
Okay. I expect that, but they never go the way I want it to, other than last game. They went all red. But I'm going white, white, red. We will see what happens. Thank you guys for tuning in. We will talk to you guys. Well, the Get to Know will be out tomorrow. And Sunday, 7 p.m., we'll be live on X and YouTube. Get in the chat there. Let us know. Reminder, when you get in there, let me know where you're watching. And make sure you bring a drink with you, because we have a good time, and we always enjoy nice cold beverage on Sunday night, or a warm beverage now. Now it's getting more like fall weather. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe. Stay healthy. God bless. And as always, go Dogs.
Go Dogs.